And it was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And you can think poorly of Tony. You can think great of Tony. It doesn't really matter what you think. He has a mission, and it's inspiring. Whether you like his delivery or not, it doesn't matter. He's out there trying to do something. And, yeah, he's a big thing now. And, you know, you can talk about people selling out at this point. But back then, I was just a little girl trying to climb out of a hole and figure out my way. And it resonated with me. But I didn't do anything with anything that I got from the book at that time. But seeds had been planted. My mindset and my shifts that were taking place inside of myself that I wasn't even consciously aware of. And as the years went on, I picked up something that built on the Tony Robbins thing, like a Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And each of these things were a step in the right direction. Then one day I decided, you know what, I'm feeling well. The food that I'm eating isn't feeling well in my body. Let me change my diet. And that was the next step. And along the way of all those steps, those would be one step forward. There were 20 steps backwards. Mm-hmm. And this is all like detailed in my book. Sure. But eventually you build on it, and you get to a point where you're like, you know what? You've built so much that you have the confidence, you have the security, you've fallen so many times, you've been to hell so many times, there's nowhere else to go but feeling good at this point.
And I think that that's the important part of the message, because you do have that confidence, you've had success, but you've had the tough times to overcome. And at one point or another, the ability to identify, hey, I'm in a shit show here. I've got to correct my behavior. You picked up a book again, you continue to learn. I think so many people in their lives, they come across these tough, challenging times, and they just feel so beaten. And that's what I love about stories like yours, and I can't wait to read the book, is how you've overcome those things, because life is about lessons, and it's how we overcome them, and we don't do them again, we hope. Otherwise, you keep getting the same lesson over and over again. I'm guessing, I'm just reading some of the titles on your website here, changing your mindset and breaking habits, all those things we can all do ourselves if given the right tools to do that. And maybe we can talk a little bit about some of those tools that you offer through your coaching and stuff, because I think it's so important for everybody.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to just say, you're going to fall many times. And as long as you keep getting back up, and even if you don't notice the progress or see the difference, it's okay. Just keep going, because I just did a video on this. Basically, if you look at yourself today and then look at yourself 3 years ago, even if you haven't made an effort to make changes, you're going to see you're in a different place than you were 3 years ago, even if it's insignificant. But we don't stop and reflect and give ourselves the credit that we deserve for making certain changes. And then if you want to be more proactive, I remember when I decided I wanted my real estate career to be solid was when I was going through a divorce, and I didn't want my lifestyle to change for myself or my kids. At the time when I was married, my husband did well, and I relied on that, and I didn't want to lose that. And so I had to figure out what are the tools and tips, and these are the coaching things that I'm going to, that you asked about, to make sure that I'm able to stay on this trajectory. And so the first thing you have to do is look inward. You have to get to know yourself as if you're your own best friend. So if your friend asked you a question about themselves, you would answer them honestly, hopefully, if you're a good friend. And you got to do that with yourself. And that's not just about your strengths and what you're good at. You also have to get to know what you're not good at. You have to know your blind spots as much as you know your strengths, because your blind spots can't change unless you get to know them. And it's hard to look at those things. So how do you do that? If you don't have a coach and you don't want to pay for a coach, then you can do it in ways on your own. Journaling, meditating, spending time in nature, taking walks, talking to yourself, asking yourself questions, listening to your thoughts and then challenging them. Are my limiting beliefs actually accurate, or are they just things that fly through my head and I take them at face value? Movement is huge. It's all about energy. I mean, again, you hear my energy, and I'm moving all the time. I exercise, and it doesn't mean you're going to run a marathon. And that's the other thing I want to say here is I could give you 100 things that you could do, morning routines, all these things. And what happens is people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And they think they have to do them every day, all day, and all of those things. Choose one. Do one for 3 weeks. And in that 3 weeks, if you make a mistake and forget 3 days of it, don't beat yourself up and not get back on the horse. Just say, okay, I lost 3 days. I'll get back on tomorrow and back at it. That's it. Because life is long and life is short. So what is it? The days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
And so like you have plenty of time. And if you forget a day, but the first thing you need to do is take action. And the only way to take action is to choose a technique that works for you. And that's why there are so many out there. So for someone, they may hate journaling, but they may love going for a run. Well, then obviously you don't need to journal. Or maybe you get your energy stronger and stronger and build it up, and then you start journaling because you're in a better place than you were when you first heard the suggestion of journaling. And we keep leveling up and we keep building as we start these things, but start small. Don't overwhelm yourself, because overwhelming yourself is a recipe for failure. Excuse me. It's all about mindset shifts. It's all about waking up in the morning and deciding how you are going to see the day. And the thing is, we are sleepwalking in a trance-like state. And what happens is you hear this podcast and you're like, holy cow, I want some of what she has. That energy is on fire. I'm going to have it. And you're intentional about it. You're purposeful for the day. And then you go to bed, and what happens is you wake up, and it's not that you don't want it the next day, but you forget because we're so in our patterns. So you have to do something to interrupt the pattern. And one thing you could do is take a sticky pad and write notes all over your house, your apartment, or your office that remind yourself of what you want to change, so that it's naturally in your face and you don't have to remember it through your mind or through your brain. It's like a mirror right there. And then as you start to see it more and more often, you'll start to make the adjustments just naturally because there'll be a reminder there for you.
Yeah, sure. I love to listen to Jim Quick. He's all about, understanding your brain and brain habits. And as an athlete, I race Spartan competitively, the obstacle course racing. And I always visualize my racing and trying to succeed within my race. But he talks a lot about visualizing what you want your day to look like and developing those habits. Thinking about, okay, I want to get up at 5 a.m. I want to get a cup of coffee. I want to get my workout in. Then I'm going to have my breakfast. Then I'm going to start my day. And visualizing what that looks like, you're already setting yourself up the next day to succeed. And it's a lot like, the note taking and putting the Post-its everywhere. This is what I want my day to progress like, or these are the things I need to be reminded of. And I think oftentimes people are searching for that unobtainable tool to help themselves, but yet, as you're suggesting, a quick note to yourself on a Post-it or visualization, both those things basically cost nothing to do, but can make tremendous impacts on your life.
And I love the visualization. And Joe Dispenza is also really into this. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
And what it is also is not just what you just said, but like, let's say you decide you want to be a mindset coach or you want to be running Spartans. You can do that if you start visualizing yourself in that role. And it could be something even bigger than your day. I love the day because it's breaking it down to smaller pieces. But if you know you want to have a certain career, what do people in that career do? How do they act? What do they dress like? What are their habits? And start taking some of those habits on so you can create your own reality. We co-create our reality with the universe. We are not just going for the ride. We can be active participants in our destiny. On
your website, you talk about self-love too. Can you touch on that for a minute? Because I think oftentimes
absolutely,
people are so,
it's key.
Yeah, they're just so not supportive of themselves. Talk about that, please.
Oh, I could cry when I think about the way I treated myself. That little girl that I was, who I hated because of what I went through, which wasn't even my own fault, and how horrible I was to the person I was at that stage. And we are taught that self-love and self-care is selfish, but it's anything but. If we can't show up for our own selves, how can we show up for anyone else or anything else in our lives? But we're taught and conditioned to loathe ourselves, not love ourselves, to hate ourselves, to find what's wrong, because that's what keeps big corporations going. That's what they prey upon, are not liking the way our face looks, our body looks, not liking the way we sound, thinking we're not smart enough. And what I encourage you to do is, again, one, and it's huge, is challenge your thoughts. So when they come through, they say we have 70 or 80,000 thoughts a day, and 70% of those are negative. 70%. And that doesn't mean the 30% are positive. That means some of those could be neutral. And so, challenging your thoughts is huge, but also finding things you do like about yourself. So like we have this in my house. I'm a single mom, 3 kids. And anytime we hear one of us say something negative about ourselves, we have to offset it with 3 put-ups, 3 compliments to ourselves. We have to find 3 things we like about ourselves. So we really try not to say negative things about ourselves because we don't want to have to go find those compliments, or at least they don't. I don't mind. But like everyone has beauty inside of themselves, and whether it's physical or more something with a little bit more depth, it's there. You have to tap into it. What do you like about yourself? Are you compassionate? Are you funny? Are you sympathetic? Are you smart? Are you strong? Are you brave? Are you, I was going to say courageous, but that's the same thing. And then focus on those things. Spend time on those things. Also, learn what you like. Like, personally, I like solitude. I'm a loner. I'm a homebody, and that's what I like. And I used to be in the whole social scene and go out all the time, and my energy would be drained. I'd feel like so crummy and bad all the time because I wasn't filling my tank. And then I was like, why don't I just go and do what I want to do and stay home when everyone else goes out? And I started doing that more and more, or being one-on-one with people and going for walks or going to a park and doing things I like. That really filled my tank. And then what happens is I'm going to use a gas tank. And when it's on empty and then something you have to do drains it, or someone comes around and drains it, there's nowhere to go. You have no reserve, so you're really at rock bottom. But when you're always on full or above full, if someone comes and drains you, there's so much room that you're able to handle it because you're not on your reserves at that point. And if this was a visual, I have my hands a certain way, and you really know what I was talking about. But the only way to always have the reserve so that when there are people or things that drain you, you can still stay steady and strong, is to take care of yourself, to love yourself, whether that's baths, going out for dinner with friends, going to the movies, meditation. It could be going to a concert, obviously not right now, but it could be anything and everything that resonates with you, reading a good book, journaling, whatever fits your needs. And you won't even know that because you've gotten so away from who you are that the first thing to do is reacquaint yourself with yourself, and then give into the things that you want and that feel good for yourself, and don't feel guilty, and say no sometimes. It's okay to say no when people ask you to do things. If that's what you want to do, say no and be okay with it. And don't feel badly, and don't worry about hurting the other person, because first and foremost, you need to take care of you.
What I love about this topic is these are major transformational tips to help somebody. And I don't think people realize how important they can be. You talk about those thoughts that you have all day, every day. I'm in the habit of waking up and writing down 10 things I'm thankful for, and I've learned that along the way. And I start my thoughts the first part of the day in a positive light, things that I'm thankful for. And that rolls into the next part of my day, getting my workout in and feeling good about myself because now I've worked out. So all of a sudden I've taken those 80,000 thoughts a day and I just chipped away at 10,000. They're all positive. And if I can roll the rest of my day out that way, I can maintain that level of energy. And again, it's something that doesn't cost us anything. It's just something that we have to focus on to be better. And I love that that's what you're talking about right now, because it's so important for people.
Well, can I just piggyback on that? Because I didn't say anything about like my routine, but both you and I are obviously very positive and in a good place in our life. And you just said the 2 things that I do first thing in the morning besides my meditation. But I get up, my cousin and I do 10 things we're grateful for. We text it to each other. So it's great to have an accountability partner and someone who's doing it with you, especially if you're first starting out. So we do that every morning. I meditate, have some apple cider vinegar, a big thing of water, and go to the gym and work out. Not the gym now, but I go work out now. And same with me. I feel the same way. My day, the foundation upon which my day is set, is so strong. But I also don't think it's a coincidence that you and I are both doing similar things and are both in really good places in our lives. So just get started. Do one thing.
Yeah, I want to touch back on the book that you referenced with Tony Robbins. And back then you actually had to buy the book probably, or you had to buy the videotape. Now most of this stuff's available to us online for free, or it's on YouTube or something. I learned the line, and this was in 1983 from Mark Victor Hansen, "What you believe is what you will achieve." One line out of one book that has stuck with me my entire life. And I'm in my mid-50s now. And it's just amazing the power of the right message at the right time. So to seek out and find what your message is, whether that's Tony Robbins or somebody else, and those authors and those speakers, they resonate with so many people. Maybe they don't resonate with you, but find your person, find your quote or your line or your inspiration. Maybe it's even just this podcast, because it will carry you a long ways if you really believe in what